Hello everyone and welcome back to the Common Sense Crypto channel. As with you always, this is Rich doing another video today on XRP. So I hope you're all having a wonderful day today wherever you are in this great world. We're going to talk about XRP. And once again, this is the 4-hour chart. I'm not quite ready to put the moon boots on yet. But I am, however, getting very excited because the green candles are showing up once again. What I'm really waiting for is us to break over $1 because then you're going to see all that FOMO money come pouring into XRP, and it's just a matter of time. Flare CEO Hugo Philion forecasts challenging road ahead for Ripple and XRP after its protracted legal difficulties. Now, when I read this, I looked at this as a FUD piece, and I don't like the idea of the CEO from Flare Network talking about Ripple this way. So Flare Network CEO Hugo Philion has predicted a slow recovery for Ripple, the company associated with the XRP cryptocurrency, after its long-standing legal woes. In a recent tweet, Philion pointed out that the San Francisco-based blockchain company, which focused on cross-border transactions using the XRP token, has been significantly hindered by regulatory uncertainty since late 2020. But that's not the case. You know, Ripple was held up in an SEC lawsuit here in the United States. Everywhere else in the world, Ripple continued to push ahead. In the EU, in the UK, look at how fast they grew out over in Asia as well. Although the company now has some clarity, Philion said Ripple was behind by approximately 2.5 years due to these complications. I don't believe that either. I honestly believe that Ripple was working with the Fed behind the scenes that whole time. And, you know, it's no coincidence that this case came to an end and we got a judgment on XRP right before FedNow went live. I think that all happened by design. But you know, the XRP community stood behind Flare. Even in the worst of times, when everybody was calling it a scam coin, remember that? When they kept delaying the airdrop on Flare? Even me, I was making videos back then, and people kept saying, it's nothing but a scam coin. Stop talking about this scam coin. But you know, I still think Flare is a great project. I think it has a great future ahead. It connects everything, and it's going to be massive. In fact, I'm going to do another video on it very soon, most likely within the next few days. But I just didn't like the way he talked about Ripple. Interledger Payments plus digital assets could be the Internet of Value. Now, this is David Schwartz back in 2019, and he's talking about micropayments back then. He's also talking about the banks and how broken that system is. Take a listen.
But digital currencies, they're not going to fix payments by themselves. We have a problem in payments, which is that networks don't talk to each other, and that makes payments slow, expensive, and unreliable. And customers want better. Customers do not want to spend 3 days waiting for a payment. They don't want to call up to find out where their payment is. Costs are going to have to come down if we're going to be inclusive and be able to make payments internationally. Blockchains don't solve this problem because blockchains don't even talk to each other, much less do they talk to non-blockchain value, where most of the world's value is today. If we're going to be successful in getting digital currencies out there, they're going to have to connect to existing value systems, and it's going to have to be part of fixing payments more broadly. An interoperability project that just interoperates blockchains is not going to help blockchain connect to where the world's existing value is going to be for some time. We need some way to connect all of these networks together. And I just briefly, the Interledger protocol is, I think, a protocol that can connect. It's a minimal protocol. It's very much like IP. It's just a way to move value, developed through the W3C. It follows the internet stack, just like we've had innovation below IP. We have new ways of transporting IP packets. We'd have innovation above IP. HTTP didn't exist when the internet, when IP was developed, but we can innovate both on top and below. The same is true of ILP. We can innovate both below it and above it. But the main point that I want to make is that ILP is a micropayment technology. Over 1 billion ILP payments in 2018. And there's a reason that's important. You can do everything with a micropayment. Micropayments are kind of like packets. If you think about the way the internet works, it sends a packet to its destination with the best effort. ILP does the same thing. The smarts are at the endpoints, and the same thing is true with ILP. So if I want to send somebody $100, I can just sort of start streaming money at them, and when it gets to $100, I can stop. And that is better for a number of reasons. If you're going to make a payment in one shot, you need to get a quote. But do you get a free quote, or do you pay for the quote? If you get a free quote, it's going to be a terrible quote because you've got a free option. If you're going to pay for the quote, how many quotes do you pay for? Do you just pay for one and then take it? Do you pay for 5 quotes and only take one of them? When you stream micropayments, when you make payments by micropayments, you can stream that payment through multiple forwarders, and those individual forwarders can stream that payment through multiple forwarders, and you can take advantage of that best path. And if the path is really good, you can stream money faster. And if the path is really bad, you can stream money more slowly. And the net effect is that you can manage a payment as a series of micropayments. And I know that sounds kind of crazy to you guys today, but if we lived in the circuit switch days of telecom, packet switch, like sending a telephone call over packet switching would sound just as crazy, but it's just as innovative. If we can develop micropayments that are as cheap as a DNS request, micropayments can take over the world. We can put all of the world's payments on a modern payment platform that interoperates between both blockchain and non-blockchain value. Interledger payments plus digital assets could be that internet of value, that way to move value all around the world.
You see how important micropayments actually are? Because micropayments are so much bigger than people think. You know, when I first talked about micropayments sometime last year, somebody said, who really cares about micropayments? You know, they're small valued payments. But think about how many micropayments happen on a daily basis. You do it yourself all the time. You go get gas, you make a payment. You buy a coffee, you make a payment. You pay a bill, you make a payment. And it happens all throughout the world, all day long, every single day. You heard David say back in 2018, there was billions of payments back then. Think of how many more payments happen today. But ever since then, they came up with better ways to move money. You got to remember, this was him talking in 2019. And even back then, they knew how broken the system was, and they wanted to fix it. That's why Ripple has a better product than Swift, than the system we have right now. It's outdated. It's 50 years old. And any bank that uses RippleNet going forward is always going to have the upper hand. The increasing demand for XRP from banks using it for wire transfers, coupled with the limited supply of around 50 billion out of 100 billion, is expected to drive a substantial price increase. Now, last week, I pointed out Shannon Thorpe from Wells Fargo, where she was talking about $100 to a $500 XRP in the short term, within the next 4 to 7 months. And people right away in the comment section said, you're crazy, that's never going to happen. And most of the time they even tied in market cap to it. But 50 billion tokens sounds like a lot of tokens, but not really when you're looking at all the banks using it, the government's using it all throughout the world, plus people using it as well. So to arrive at this prediction, Thorpe considered several key variables that could influence XRP's future, including an analysis of the cryptocurrency circulation and adoption by banks, liquidity providers, and governments. By evaluating these aspects, she projected the potential liquidity strength of XRP, suggesting it could reach trillions of dollars if widely utilized across various financial institutions. And look at how many financial institutions Brad already has his foot in those doors. He's partnered with these financial institutions already. Remember all throughout last year when I kept showing you the partnerships after partnerships with the banks and Ripple? And I kept saying, RippleNet is getting them in the door. Later will come XRP. Now that 50 billion XRP that's out there right now doesn't look like a whole lot of XRP when you're dealing with that many institutions. And you got to remember, we haven't even got adoption yet here in the United States. And I think once that happens, it's going to spread so quick. Because all of a sudden, one bank is going to be utilizing XRP and RippleNet. And they're going to be getting more customers on board because they're fixing wire transfer. Nobody wants to do wire transfers anymore. Anybody who tells you that that's their preferred way to make payments is lying to you. It's expensive. When there's a cheaper alternative, everybody's going to want to use it. Every single company out there will go to that bank purposely to use that solution. So once one bank gets RippleNet and XRP in the door, all of a sudden the bank down the street has to do the same thing, or they're going to lose all their customers to the first bank. And that's why I said it's going to happen so quick when it happens. But a lot of people still don't realize that. They're sleeping on this cryptocurrency still, basing their whole thought process on market cap in previous cycles. This is way bigger than that. And if you're not paying attention, you are going to miss it. This is your one time, your one shot. And if you don't take it by investing in this cryptocurrency, then you're just going to be left behind and you're going to regret it for the rest of your life. Banks will use what is efficient and cheaper. And if you deliver a better product at a better price, they will use it. Brad Garlinghouse said that. And you know why Brad said that? Most likely because he sees exactly what I see happening. All it takes is one bank here in the United States to go live with Ripple and XRP. $262 billion in deposits exits JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, and Citi in 1 year as government reveals collapse of another U.S. bank. Listen, the banks are going to continue to consolidate, and everybody lost faith in the banking system. It's a broken system. Nobody wants to use it. And if they say that they want to use this system, then they are lying to you as well. The only reason they're using it is because they're used to it. It's been instilled in them for a long period of time. But then all of a sudden you get into crypto and you're like, to hell with the bank. I'm pulling my money out of savings and I'm putting it right in crypto because I know I could get better gains from it. And if the banks do want to get customers through the door, they better get involved with crypto and the technology of the future. Because if they don't, this younger generation's never going to want to go to the traditional banking system. They have every cash app right in their hands, in their phone. Why would they ever want to use a traditional bank? Now take a listen to David Schwartz talking about a world's reserve currency, and he's talking about XRP.
Do you believe that there can be two existing world reserve currencies to simultaneously exist?
I do, and I think that could happen. I think it's quite realistic that a lot of the world is just done with the dollar as the reserve currency. And I think that there's a lot of places that are willing to try something else. And one of my scenarios, and I don't think it's going to play out quickly, but like one of my wild case success scenarios for a digital asset is if countries start to realize that the US dollar is not going to be the reserve currency forever. Other things are going to be the reserve currency. And the same thing that we saw with banks, like people, when we started selling software to banks, people would say to me, why would a bank use something that like you guys were selling them when they could use something that was like made by banks? And what they didn't realize is that, only like 10 banks in the country, on the planet, are Deutsche Bank, HSBC, Credit Suisse, JP Morgan Chase, like the ones who would build a system that the entire planet would run on. For the rest of the banks, that's 6,000 smaller banks, those are their biggest, strongest competitors. Those are the entities they hate the most. They would not want to use the system built and maintained by them because it's going to be biased in favor of them, their biggest and strongest competitors.
That's exactly why JP Morgan coin would never be a success, because the little banks would never want to use their competitor's coin. And it's very important to understand that because the world's countries would never want to do the same thing either.
And I think the same thing could happen to nations. Like every nation would love for their currency to be the world reserve currency. That's helped the U.S., that's grown the U.S. economy, quote unquote, unfairly by leaps and bounds for decades. And every other country would be like, yeah, we'd like to have the world be the world's reserve currency. But the only countries that could possibly pull it off is the U.S. holding its position, maybe the EU, maybe Russia, maybe one or two others, but realistically, most countries know that if there's going to be a new world reserve currency that's a country's currency, it's not going to be them. And so they might actually prefer a currency that nobody can control to one that's controlled by their largest geopolitical rivals. And so that's like what I think is the biggest possible success scenario for digital assets. If these countries are like, okay, well, the US dollar can't hold on forever, but it's not going to be our currency because no one's going to want to repeat the US dollar scenario. Nobody but the EU wants the EU to replace the dollar, right? Nobody but Russia wants the ruble to replace the dollar. Nobody but China wants the yuan to replace the dollar. So maybe they could settle on a currency that nobody could control rather than one controlled by their most powerful geopolitical rival. So if you want a success scenario, that's the one that I think is the most likely.
But the money question is, how do you get everybody to agree?
Well, I mean, they might agree if the alternative is that their geopolitical rivals force some new replacement for the dollar that's not, that just if they just replace, the old boss with a new boss. If the choice is no boss, if that happens to make a bunch of cryptocurrency people rich, I don't think they're going to see that as too much of a minus.
Did you take notice how he said if it makes a whole bunch of cryptocurrency people rich? He's talking about XRP. And you know what? What he said makes so much sense. Think about it. Okay, nobody wants the US dollar no more. That's done. We weaponized it against way too many countries, and we sanctioned it way too many times. So people want something new, something better, something that levels the playing field. So XRP could easily become the world's reserve currency because everybody would agree on it, because not one country, it's not their currency. And I always said it has to work like a trust layer. Think about it. If China send the money to the US, they're going to want a trust layer in between. XRP. If the United States sends money to China, they're going to want that trust layer in between. XRP. And that's why I always told you, this is your one shot. You either take it, you invest in this cryptocurrency, or you just get left behind, because everything is pushing in this direction right now. And I think even China knows their new gold-backed currency is not going to become the world's reserve currency. They're probably not even considering that. They just want an alternative to what we have now. They're done with the debt-ridden dollar. That's what it comes down to. And they want something better. But at some point, I could see the whole world agreeing on something like XRP. And even if they don't use it as a world's reserve currency, they're still going to use it as the trust layer. Ripple receives Beyond the Check award for partnerships with incredible nonprofits. XRP helps build a better future for millions. You know what's great about Ripple? They're always getting awards. And I like it when they're getting awards for helping out nonprofits, making the world a better place. Ripple owned Mateko wins 2 prestigious honors at Leaders in Custody Awards 2023. Best Innovation in Digital Asset Custody 2023 and Digital Asset Initiative of the Year in Asia 2023. You know, Ripple gets nonstop awards. They have a whole hell of a lot of them. And yet a lot of people still don't see the value in this cryptocurrency. Ripple shakes up carbon markets with a new partnership. Blockchain technology firm Ripple has embarked on a transformative initiative aimed at injecting transparency, trust, and integrity into carbon markets. Last year, Ripple underscored its commitment to climate change mitigation with a substantial $100 million investment, now in partnership with climate-focused technology provider Centigrade. It seeks to address this global challenge. Centigrade has launched an open data platform to instill trust in the global voluntary carbon markets. Beyond offering high-quality data, ease of access, and transparency, the platform aims to foster a liquid, fair, and efficient carbon market. You know why Ripple's going so big here? Because there's a lot of money here. You know, carbon credits are going to be massive in the future. It's an industry that will grow year over year. Listen to this exchange I had with Elon on MySpace last night and tell me this isn't huge for XRP. This is absolutely massive. Take a listen.
So Elon, one of the things that I think everyone was kind of curious about is, do you see X in the future using a crypto like Doge or maybe Bitcoin Lightning Network or something like that?
You know, we're all about pushing the boundaries of technology. And I've been having some fun playing around with Doge on the side. But to be completely transparent, it's not ready to handle payments on X. And the Lightning Network, it's nowhere near what we need. It's a total fucking joke right now, really.
What are you?
So I was smoking a little pot with David Schwartz, and he was explaining XRP to me. At this point, I think XRP might be the only real chance. I'm excited to explore the possibility.
XRP might be the only real chance for X payments in the future. And that is huge. But you know, I wanted to do a video today. I took you back to 2019 and I showed you David Schwartz back then, seeing how broken the system was, you know, especially around wire transfers. And those are still very expensive today. And then I showed you David Schwartz now all of a sudden talking about XRP as a world's reserve currency. You know, the world has changed a lot in 4 years, and it's going to continue to change into the future. And you want to be here for that. You know, when I make an XRP video, I try to show you exactly why you need to keep holding this cryptocurrency. This is it. We are almost to the finish line. I'm talking where XRP skyrockets so fast, people are going to be totally shocked. A lot of people sitting on the sidelines waiting to get in, they're just going to get left behind. I think it's going to move so quick. You're going to wake up one morning, you're going to be like, wow, what happened with XRP? And all of a sudden, you're going to find out now it's being utilized for cross-border payments through all these countries, all around the world. You know, all these banks coming on board. You know, I think we're going to see adoption happen first, and we're going to see the price rise steadily. And then all of a sudden, it's just going to blast off. And you better have your moon boots on when that happens. Let's get rich together. With that said, I'm going to wrap up this video. I want to thank you all for watching. I appreciate all of you. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great night.